How do we connect with the divine and the other side? First of all, that's kind of two questions, because how do we connect with the divine is one question, and how do we connect with the other side is another question, because the other side, I'm assuming, means the subtler worlds, the mental, emotional world, or the noetic world, where we sometimes can call that the spirit world. And so connecting with the other side all has rules, and it always has to go on the foundation of acting in accordance with everybody's highest and best interest of what is actually needed or called for by the environment and the creation. So we can't, like, looking into past lives or contacting those who've passed on. It's always with purpose. It has to be with purpose. If you do not connect with purpose, you can get in so much trouble. Like, don't do it. Purpose is important. But we have mental, emotional bodies, and we have noetic bodies. And the way we connect is we focus awareness away from the material body and into the subtler levels of the physiology, and then move from there. But it's not the move of individual intention, it's the move of divinity. It's God moving from there. It has to be. It's the only way to do it so that the results are good. Otherwise, it can make such a horrible mess. Maybe that's why the powers were lost over the centuries. In prior centuries, people had tremendous powers. Tremendous powers. They left the marks of their powers on this earth for us to examine today and wonder. There's a temple that was first an ancient temple, then a Greek temple was built on top of it, then a Roman temple was built on top of that. It's in Europe somewhere. And the original foundry stones for this temple are something like 60 tons. Like, we can't move stone like that today. And enough is known, enough is known. Not only did they cut these stones, like precision cut, but they moved them into place, and they may have even transported them over miles or something. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy stuff what people of the past were capable of doing. And they did that so that we wouldn't forget. We wouldn't forget that they could do stuff with consciousness. Anyway, so yeah, the tradition of using consciousness to do amazing big things has been with humanity long time. And we've lost a lot of it. And it's time for it back, because our world really needs healing and our bodies need healing. I mean, the whole thing. Okay, so how do I connect with the divine? My recommendation is two things: transcend and pray. Meditate and pray. Meditation takes awareness to the source of creation, but prayer brings the presence of the divine to the surface. Do we need to look at the chart? You get the picture. Do you get the picture? Pretend that's a chart. Pretend that's the source of creation. Meditation, awareness goes in to the source of creation. Prayer, the presence of the divine comes out to the surface. And both nourish and nurture the relationship with divinity. And that one of prayer bringing the divine up to this. I was so surprised. I was so shocked when I first started praying, when I gave it a shot. What was it? Maybe a couple of years ago or something. I started, like, really, like, I'd been meditating my whole life, and it was so fulfilling and so enriching and so lovely. It was like, I don't need anything else. But then my sons suggested, both my sons were like, maybe you could try this. Just try it. Just try it. Just try it. So I tried it, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was powerful. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. The presence of God shows up. God comes to the surface. Is a being that embodies infinity And whatever, it's like, think of it like a well that contains infinity. And whatever you drop into it comes out infinitely. Is washed in the infinite and comes to the surface. It's really nice. And we have meditation and prayer. It's everywhere. You can find it. You go to the internet, put in prayer or meditation. I mean, I'm an advocate for transcending meditation, right? We pick up mantra and you go follow it down to the source of creation. There are lots of different types of meditation. Some of them are more contemplative or concentrative, but I'm a really big fan of transcending meditations. Yeah. But that's the one that I've been practicing. So I'm looking through my filter, through my lens, but prayer has a different purpose. It has a different goal. Its goal isn't for the mind to transcend. Its goal is to expand the heart and purify the heart so that the inner sense of self is composed in such a way, it is cultured in such a way as to make the deepest, most complete connection to the divine. It's very cool because it's the coordinated effort between ourselves as individuals and the divine that gives rise to the most powerful healing, to the really big healing. In my opinion, having done this for a while, that's my opinion. And of course, divinity guides things so that it's really right. Divinity kind of fills in that little extra gappy part where understanding has not fully ripened. So we're working on the understanding part, right? We're working on the understanding and the experience. But yeah, it's good to have that sort of be able to trust. And we talked a lot yesterday about trust also. So trust, I would say trust is another of the elements required to support closeness in the relationship with the divine. Maybe one of the biggest ones. We've talked so far about, so how do I connect with the divine? Well, one of them is you choose to do the right thing. You choose to do the highest thing. If there's a situation, you have to pick your battles and pick your words and so forth. So you choose to act on a high level, on a high moral ground, right? But then there's also a matter of trusting that this is the divine. This is the one source of creation that we're connected in with. And part of the story there is that as human beings, for us to slice into, to go fine and say, well, what's the difference between a being that is eternal, absolute, and a being that's kind of almost eternal and absolute, right? Like there are beings that live down at the noetic level that don't have physical bodies, so their bodies don't deteriorate the way our physical bodies do. And they've been around for like billions of years. And as a human being, if you're looking at a life force, the life force shows up, maybe something comes and it's like, oh, I feel I'm in the presence of this being of light. And the being of light is like 20 billion. Well, of course, the universe is only 14 billion years old, but there's no time and space down there either. So it could be coming from the future, right? Okay. So the being is like 20 billion years old. And you're like, is it God? Or is it just some other kind of being that looks like God, that seems like God? It seems God-like. Is it a God? The difference is infinity. The difference between 99% infinite and 100% infinite is a big difference. It's a big enough difference that you will know. You can trust yourself. You can trust yourself to know. Obviously, this part of our webinar is activating the value of trust as a fundamental of consciousness. It's like a little package of consciousness with its own little energy signature in the heart center. You can't trust everybody and you can't trust everything, but you can trust yourself to at least be honest with yourself. And you can trust that you'll know the difference between 100% infinite and 99% infinite, which isn't infinite. And trust yourself to choose well, to put your trust in that one greatest, highest, fullest value of creation. It's a little shift. It's a little shift right here. Why did the heart get hurt? And what are those impressions, memory patterns, and other elements that are almost like coming out of the heart center like smoke? Because of having been fooled into putting the trust in something less than that in the past. You didn't know. You in the past didn't know. But now you know. So just like yesterday, we're taking our awareness back through the entire lineage of the story of the soul, through all the years and all the experiences of human life, through so many different human physiologies that filtered reality slightly different, and cultures and times, right? And reawakening the trust, reawakening that specific discernment in the heart all the way back. It's like a line of consciousness that comes from the center of the heart chakra, and it goes back and it knits through the hearts of every life and every body that you ever lived. And it's like a little reminder of what truth you can trust. What's the truth you can trust? How do you define it? How do you identify it? How do you recognize it when it is there? Through all the different filters. And what this does is it's like creating a diamond, right? Because each physiology that we have ever inhabited has its own take on what is the truth. It has its own perspective on what is truth and what is the divine and what is God. I'm seeing so much emotional baggage being cleared from the heart center right now, from the heart centers of past incarnations, especially. So much baggage. Oh my goodness. And I think the reason is that gaining knowledge on the steps of experience and understanding is a gradual process. And in past incarnations, we just didn't have as much experience as we do now. And so there wasn't a foundation for the wisdom or the understanding to sit. Like I said, this is a really special time that we're in right now. As a collective, we're at a time where humanity has built up a certain level of experience that allows us to bring together this very, very kind of detailed, it just reminds me of kind of how, a kind of slightly autistic mind. I also have a slightly autistic mind, likes to go in like down a rabbit hole and really, really understanding just searing detail how things work, right? And we're at a time where we have a level of experience that allows us to take the next step of understanding, to apply the next step of understanding, which is this incredible deep body of knowledge of how consciousness works to the Western experience. Because the body of how consciousness works is Eastern, and it's ancient. It goes back all through the ancient world. For us in America, anywhere past the Atlantic is like the old world, so the ancient world. Big waves of love moving across the globe right now, flipping from our group is coming out of those purified hearts, right? It's coming out of the purified hearts in this radiant, and it comes a little bit like we could call healthy gut bacteria. We're acting like healthy gut bacteria in the collective field of our world, right? And that love comes out and it radiates out and it goes up and it hits this the Schumann resonance, and it gets transported like like that, like the internet of the internet of consciousness all around the world, and particularly going to reverently, humbly recognize and appreciate those individuals who have been the custodians of knowledge for ages upon ages. Holding on to that understanding until the world had enough experience that it was ready to accept the understanding and to be able to move forward. It's a game changer. I mean, obviously, right? We're obviously in a time where major game changing going on. Okay. You know, I'm right. Okay, so that was that amazing question. How do I connect with the divine and the other side? And how do we connect with ourselves in the way that you say? And again, I think maybe for that, that combination of meditation and prayer. And I mean, you don't have to do them at the same time. You can, if we respect the meditation traditions and practice that the way it's been instructed and so forth. But yeah, there's something to be said for prayer as a technology. Prayer as a technology. The ancient desert fathers called it continuous prayer. Continuous prayer, because what happens is the prayer changes the heart. It purifies, uplifts, and grounds the heart, stabilizes the heart in the presence of the divine. And that actually shifts the physical structure, the neural network around in the chest area. So that's when it's really, really gotten stabilized there. And it doesn't leave, the body doesn't lose it or leave it. That level of absolute love, love that's so big that you can't even feel it anymore. Love that's so big that if you tried to feel it, it would blow out all of your circuitry. So that love, it gets bigger, bigger, bigger. You're feeling it, feeling it, feeling it. And then there's this point where it goes, and it transcends. It's transcendental love. Transcendental love. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful. And then it becomes stabilized in the heart area. And then the process of purification and healing transformation becomes easier.